Welcome back to some next level StarCraft 2. After 11 years, going on 11 years, strategies have developed. Macro and micro are at a level that we've never seen before, but mind games have taken center stage. So I want to introduce you to the man who is not only playing those games, but potentially writing the rules. He comes from the sewers, where he thrives, and he evolves, and he grows, but in ways you wouldn't expect. The mermaid himself. Florencio, who I have it on good authority, he has spent a significant amount of time learning to use hotkeys, yes, but with his mouse. Which you might be like, well, yeah. No, you don't understand me. Get out your Razor Nagas like we're playing World of Warcraft and it's 2007. Because now we're truly playing Protoss. And with that newfound knowledge and an immaculate level of control never before seen outside of possibly some sort of sex offender hearing, Florencio will insert cannons into his opponent's natural, and out will come, at the very least, some heaping helpings of salt and a surprisingly symmetrical amount of drones. It is a cannon, not so much a rush, but as a decoy for the gateways that are being built. The cannons were a placeholder, a scaffolding upon which the gateway rush was built. Except I don't think one of the probe is alive. And when there's a probe, there's always a problem. There's always a dream, always a chance. And also, always, this is actually the decoy. In fact, you pull the mask off, and it was a cannon the whole time! And what they didn't know was there was another probe! Well, this isn't true anymore. Anyways, I just wanted to show off my Carbon shirt. Winter, well, why do people wear shirts, okay? Why does Zest ever wear a shirt? Unrelated. Not important. But at the end of the day, it was a decoy. It was a chance to get a cannon rush where it needed to be, which was at the natural, which was at the third. And now we're here. 3 cannons, 1 hatchery, soon to be 0 hatcheries. You divide 3 by 0, and it's impossible to tell what happens next.
The numbers don't lie, and they spell disaster for you.
So, as we've seen so many times before, the Zerg player, JJS, I never even introduced him, though maybe he needed no introduction, not because he's some sort of notorious or famous Zerg player, but instead he's about to be super, super dead. Except, Florencio is not one to outright kill his opponent. He's not like... he differs slightly from Parting in that way. Parting with that killer instinct, ready to get in, get out, and get paid. But Florencio, on the other hand, they do things differently in the sewers. It doesn't grab... It's not a direct effort, but instead they slip and slide and coagulate and coalesce and encompass, possibly submerge. Just a general moistness is felt in the air and through your nostrils in such a way you realize something's happening, but you're not sure what. A little uncomfortable, at least. I guess another way to describe it would be a dankness. Oh, whoa, the micro! I haven't seen micro like this since the Brood War. Brenda, do you remember? We don't talk about the Brood War! Shut up! Since the accident. The Zealot. A almost looked like an intentional stop position micro, but a micro that allowed the Zealot to kill a couple more drones. There's a Void Ray as well. Another pylon. Let's take stock of the situation. Void Rays. Is that a cannon? Florencio. He knows that keep your enemies close, but your friends closer. And him and Void Rays have had a close, intimate relationship for a long time. Their tentacles have been all along and beside and entwined with one another. So he knows that Void Rays, while well trusted, are also a potential threat. So therefore, the cannon is his, like, I trust you, but also trust but verify. That cannon making sure that Void Rays don't get any untoward intentions. We already talked about those hearings. Alright, the corrosive bile's out there. Easily dodged. Prismatics aligned. Brenda, one queen, angrily marching down, unleashes her knitting needles. Unfortunately, getting some leg cramps, running back out to the creep. Why are they still allowed to attack while moving? That's some bullshit. Meanwhile, the whole crew's here now. Florencio doing his classic Bronze League Heroes impression of just kind of taking all of the assimilators because he knows that resistance is futile. Hydra Den on the way. Evolution chambers for JJS, who's trying to get to some semblance of normalcy. I mean, we are on submarine. Oh, the queens. 2 against 3. 1 falls. Driven back onto the creep, the corrosive bile. Florencio doesn't even flinch. The prismatics burn. A cancel from JJS. Meanwhile, the cannon outpost has been reinforced with shield batteries. Corrosive bile, no object. It's JJS struggling to react to the current scenario. There are 11 Hydras on the way, which definitely will help. Another queen. Corrosive bile, this one a real threat. The queen under attack. The Hydra's about to pop out. Looking for the voids. Make it 1. No. The Void Rays will survive. Unfortunately, there are no SCVs nearby to repair them. Florencio only had 35 workers. JJS has done an impressive job at macroing despite all this. He's at 41. Well, he was at 41. He had to build a couple spores. But he actually does have a slight income lead right now. Unfortunately, map control still goes to the mermaid himself. Oh, the prismatics again aligned. The hatchery is now on the agenda. But 1 Void Ray. 2 Void Rays. Oh no. JJS. There's a little bit of unfriendly fire there. The corrosive bile's thrown up in the Hydras. Finally, something gets hit. Those Ravagers are loose cannons! So he looses them on the cannons. Give me your badge and your bliles. The Ravagers, maybe intentionally, killed by the cannon outpost after that display. Unfortunately, that leaves the Hydras significantly out of position as the Void Ray's moving again. Burning through the hatch. Is it burning? I want to think it's burning. It's like a. I feel like getting attacked by a void ray, like as a Zerg. It's so hot that it's cold, right? Like, it's like when you touch a burning stove, as we all did as children. Sometimes multiple times. A burning stove. The stove is actually filled with dry ice, though. So, like, you put your hand in the stove, as people do, and you're like, oh my god, it's cold, but is it cold? I'm not sure. And that's what void rays are. You lose all sense of what hot and cold are, and it simply is. You guys didn't put dry ice in your stoves when you were kids? Zoomers. Like and subscribe if you put dry ice in your stove. Dislike if you didn't, because you didn't have a childhood. And that's what someone who didn't have a childhood would do. Meanwhile, this is a base. I looked at it and I wasn't sure if I was staring at the back of the box or if it was a Protoss base, and I'm still not sure, but hopefully we'll have a revelation soon. With so many oracles. 10 oracles. A solid counter to the Hydras. The Overlords not surviving the fight. Oh, trying to burn through the Hydras, but not really going incredibly great. Getting a lot of the Hydras, but losing many oracles as well. Yeah, the Hydras do have their range and their speed upgrades. But the Void Rays are in the main. There's only 4, and there's some spores. Unfortunately, though, most of the Hydras are going for the Queen, Florencio. Some of those oracles need a Red Bull. Please sponsor me. In order to keep going, they're out of energy. 3 oracles have survived. Unfortunately, it seems like there is only one key on the keyboard right now for JJS. Is that F2? Well, maybe 2. F2 and A getting a workout. He goes back and he goes 4th. And he's got a 3rd. But there's another number base.
The numbers don't lie.
There you go.
They spell disaster for you.
Meanwhile, the cannons rebel against the pylons in order to open up a path for the Zealots. If only there was some way for the Zealots to be transported outside of the base instead of destroying your own buildings. But since we're still stuck in the Brood War, with our fanatical disregard and this is an anti-warp gate strategy. The warp gates have destroyed every sense of logistical prowess of the Protoss, and we refuse to upgrade it. There are corruptors now, by the way. The Zealots. The drones fighting, which is maybe not their best move. Some Hydras, but the Hydras, everything here hits ground, nothing hits up, but not everything hits ground. So we're in a weird actual counter situation where Florencio is obviously in a great spot. But only the Zealots. Wait, the Corruptors can't hit the Zealots, and the Zealots can't hit the Corruptors. They can just say angry things to each other. This isn't the beta. In the Legacy of the Void beta, they tested the Corruptors spraying all over units. And we decided against that for reasons. Though it would have been appropriate for the Sewer Mermaid, I think, to get Corruptor juice all over his Zealots. It's been a while since I got Corruptor juice all over my Zealots, to be honest. But every now and again. Unfortunately, though, for JJS, he's down to 14 drones, which is barely more than he started with. He's down to 1 base, essentially, which is what he started with. And you never want to go back to the hatch ages. It looks like he will stabilize. But at what cost? +2, +1. A lot of upgrades coming in for JJS. 0 upgrades whatsoever, besides charge. As Florencia wants to make sure those zealots have everything life has to offer, as long as it's charging directly into their death. Oh, what are those? What are those? Ugh. 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 Stalker. Ugh. Disgusting. Stalkers and the stalkers of the sky. Void rays. Florencia moving out. And I don't know if JJS has what it takes in order to withstand this attack. The Corruptors getting annihilated. The Roaches getting obliterated. The economy eviscerated. And Florencio has successfully eliminated the competition. He comes out. He slithers his way into another victory with a dankness few can match. But that is but the beginning of this experience. Now, I think it's only appropriate, as we've seen the Protoss, but what about the Zerg? That would make more sense. So, Florencio has tried his hand. Well, such as they are. His claws, potentially his mandibles. His, whatever, baleen? Is that it? That with the plankton going on? 90% of my whale facts are learned from Magic School Bus. So hop on this bus with me. We're taking a journey into ZVZ. And we're on, apparently, either we're on Korea or we have the rare sweaty American with a Korean name. Though. Now, Florencio filling us in. He's been working for the last year on this strategy. I'm sure it will become very apparent. Protoss has already been mastered, grandmastered, and then all the way back around. Like, he's prestiged in Protoss, essentially. So has most of the world. We've moved on. But now, Zerg. Our many eyes and other sensory apertures are focused upon the highly evolved creatures. Oh, thank you, Jimmy. So this is a drone. Okay, many of you may not know that. Like and subscribe if you didn't know what a drone was. That's not where it's usually supposed to go, especially against other Zergs. It looks like both Zergs going for that early spawning pull strat. The drone waiting for its moment, potentially just blocking a hatchery, trying to hide from the Overlord, and the Overlord not finding it. Little does he know. Waiting, watching, lurking. There's also a drone here, so Florencio has about 1/8 of his economy just kind of chilling. The Lings technically see it, but he might not have the minimap downloaded. Classic mistake. Spine crawlers, the backbone of the defense. On the way. 2 spine crawlers, more than enough to deal with 6 slowlings. We're still wondering, like, the drones are where the action is, but you know what I least expected, to be honest, was a hatchery in the main. The bait and switch. I'm not sure if he's outplaying me. Oh, God, I love it when they do that. They impale it, and then they just get a nice hold of it with their tentacles, and then they fling it over their back. And that's how spine crawlers do. All right, there's some banelings on the way. As we're gonna say Nesty. Nesty is my translation. Oh, a beautiful evolution chamber block from Florencio. I forgot to name the Korean player. There's gonna be my 4 Korean fans will correct me, but I don't want to be right because it's more fun being wrong. Right, Florencio? Oh, the Evo chamber actually finishes, which is just for upgrades. Another baneling. Oh, but the draw! What a play! The micro here is definitely precise. It's something. There's a lot going on, and it's also so little. At the same time, we got banelings just cropping up like some sort of water feature. Oh, what a... the drones? They don't even look at each other anymore. Not after, like, they had one... There was 1 minute where, well, we don't talk about that. But now, yeah, you see, you take your minerals and you get the hell out of here. You get out. I have 800 minerals and you don't get any. Brenda, there's a drone. Is he bullying you? Hey, get out of here. We don't like your kind around here. And the drone leaves. I've watched this video before. Moving on, top left base is while spine crawlers are about. Oh, we're going to the chiropractor's office after this one. Oh, moving on, out of. Florencio is up by 4 drones, I think. Oh, here we go again. Do you want to be on top? Because for some reason, and I think it's because of the pervert pillar, he actually... you're so boldest. Are those ventral sacs, or are you just happy to see me? The real match continues. Hey, are those tentacles vestigial? Or can they be used for activities? Oh, Brenda, hey, whoa. Calm down. Hey, we're having a moment. Florencio adding on his 2 roach warrens. He'll be able to support upwards of 2 roaches with that. Get a room! There are no... We can't... We fly! Wait a second. Is that... Mutas? Ah, the stench of mutas is on the air. Oh my god. Oh, Big Mike not able to handle it. Going through the... No! It wasn't meant to be! It was Broverlord and Juliet. And the mutas. And now this overlord must commit Sudoku. We have no idea what's happening. Last I checked, roaches do not... There are 5 spore crawlers on the way. Florencio has successfully lowered his drone count to even. We got burrow and tunneling claws and roach speed for all the roaches, which is 2 of the roaches because you need a roach horn. Like, they need a lot of personal space. They're like wolves. Roaches are essentially wolves. If wolves could burrow, which would be a great evolutionary trait. So they need a lot of space. They're warren very large. So the 2 roaches will be able to make their way across the map momentarily. The mutas looking, not finding all the bases. They're checking. At this point, Nesty is a little confused. He will find the base. Oh no, the Spore Crawler does approximately 5,000 damage to each muta. So that's emotional damage, sorry. It does like 50 damage though, it's still kind of ridiculous. Oh, Brenda, Going for the mutas, get reinforcements. Ah, the queen! Assassinated! The micro! Unfortunately, the spore getting a little raunchy over here. Oh, the drones! More drones! Oh, drawn into the spores! An overseer! Wait, what? Did he see the burrow? But the roaches are making their way downtown, burrowing fast, wanting to pop up in your mineral mine. Meanwhile, the muta micro. 2 mutas, 3 spores, 1 overseer, 0 fucks. Meanwhile, burrowed roaches almost all the way across. They're uncomfortably fast when they're burrowed, especially on creep, as you might think. Meanwhile,
Surprise, motherfucker.
he gets in. The what is there to defend? Florencio providing important commentary. The main has 2 base, which substitutes the queen, which... That's like, if you're like, I'm having butter with my biscuit, but I'm substituting the butter for a rock. Okay, that's not the same. That wasn't even funny, alright? It's like substituting the butter for a jalapeno pepper. It's like, okay, it's technically also edible. At least it's not the... And then we get the people like, that doesn't even have the... That's not even spicy, bro. Do you see how white I am? Anyways, moving on. Jalapeno pepper is very intimidating. That's like a Master League pepper, and I'm definitely Gold League on that. That is, like, do not put jalapeno peppers anywhere close to my biscuits. Not even in the same goddamn room. And somehow the roaches were dealt with. Nesty has 20 more supply while we were going on about the spiciness of this game. Florencio has put him at 11 drones, but he himself was not at a booming economy. The mutas, unfortunately, a little forward. The roaches, while they could easily deal with 2 spine crawlers, instead they cannot deal with their innate fear of tentacles. Which, I mean, we've all been there. Cephalopods unite. Because these roaches will never defeat... Well, apparently now he's gotten over it. With the Ravagers, they filled him with determination, despite more spine crawlers finishing. Nesty doing a good... Oh, they're mutas! I couldn't... The stench of the previous mutas was... Florencio does remember he has burrow at some point. Oh. It's on... Oh, there... Oh, more mutas! On the other side of the map, there's a single spore in the main. Roaches headed across. This... Essentially, I could just reverse the commentary. And then Florencio kind of just kills the spore. So that leaves any amount of mutas. Roaches scuttling towards the main, but there's already the spine crawlers ready to defend. The Mutalists will give them a deep tissue massage until they ask them to pleasantly please stop, and then the mutas say no. And the roaches are like, really though? My carapace itches. And the mutas are like, good. And then the roaches are like, do you like this? And the mutas are like, Florencio wins! But that is not the end. That is only the beginning. Because one race, one lifestyle, one experience yet remains. And then more games after that. But we've had a lot of cheese, but we haven't had so much wine. I bring you Terran. This time, under a new moniker. He's molted. He's shed his scales and grown a new carapace. And this time trying to pass as one of the Terrans I give you. Florencio. The Challenger. Little does he know, or maybe he does know, it's unclear. The Zerg player from the Nibla. They have a real, they have a logo that looks like it took orders of magnitude more effort than mine. Please like and subscribe and say your logo is great, Winter. It's very complicated and artsy. So it must be serious. I need to pay Florencio some sewer juice, some corruptor juice to design me a new logo, I think. Or maybe even Eurodollars. An artiste, for those who don't know. They should. Not just in-game, by the way. Get them on Pictionary again. That wasn't a joke or a metaphor. That's literal. Florencio scouring the map. I think this is scouting, but it's not. You never like. There could be two things. Multitasking is critical in Starcraft. The SCV will remember the times when it didn't live under the sea. When they saw land and the sun. And then but unfortunately, and it had a family, but its family all died on Core Hall. And it's been 10 years since the Brood War now, and they've been sitting out here mining minerals. Finally, maybe I'll just jump. But then he realizes we're on submarine, they're underwater, and jumping does nothing, so just gets back to work building the command center. Command center number 3, that is. Come on down. The defensive perimeter extends. Where's the engineering bay? Florencio missing out on his Bronze League build order. Also, like, speaking of Florencio designs, yes, designing something for himself. He designed bronze. Well, this experience. I think appropriate now as he's pulling out a build from that very guide. From the papyrus that it was scrawled upon. A build straight out of the Bronze League. The engineering bay joins the bunker and the command centers. Florencio saying, this is the macro build versus the macro Zergs. And by macro Zergs, I assume we mean people that don't make Zerglings off of one base. So, it is a really embracing Terran. Even at this somewhat less infrastructurally developed level. Terrans understanding that there are macro players and then there are dirty cheesers. And which one do you want to be? There are only 2 types of people. Like and subscribe if you're a dirty cheeser. If this video doesn't get 1 million likes and or dislikes, then I'm switching to League of Legends. No. I need something more realistic, like I'm switching to Age of Empires. People would actually believe that. I mean, maybe. It's still on the table. You can never be too careful. You're running out of time. In fact, I heard the Sicilians are OP. They have just like a bounty. Their workers are so strong. Wait, is it the Sicilians or the Burgundians? I don't know which buzzword for fancy food you microwave. I don't know where the Zerglings are going. Meanwhile, the Rax. Did you know barracks fly faster than overlords and have been making overlords feel like have self-esteem issues? We already talked about that for over a decade now. Actually, for several. I do not know if barracks flew faster. In Brood War, everything seems slow, but that's because each pixel is 3 times as large. Brenda, wait a second. Is that flying? Shut up! The barracks. The barracks. Wow. Florencio, no stranger to alpha moves. The Shadrax. Just stare, instead of just floating away and scouting, staring down the queen. Yeah, remember when you could fly? Watch this. I mean, there is a spire right there as well. That's good scouting. But most importantly, the intimidation. Eventually, she'll run out of knitting needles and have to go back and use her coupons at Joann Fabrics and give me PTSD from my childhood. Why won't you die? Unfortunately, building armor will not. You should be able to crash it into the ground, but then immediately... We could land the command center, sir. But there is... Where were we? So, as Florencio said, a macro build for a macro game, aka boring! What is this? The only thing that's died is a barracks? What am I watching? Big Gabe over here gonna max out? Well, not quite max out. Come on. Not a single worker rush. The defenses, the depot wall, the depot line of sandbags with some turrets for defense, the mutlups. I mean, the spire was scouted by the barracks. Unfortunately, there are 0 turrets in the main, but there are plenty of mines as Florencio is transitioning into his Minecraft build. More mines burrowing. The mutas somehow not able to... Well, they evaded. Oh, they're everywhere. Oh, they fly right back in. One survivor. Oh, no. On hold position. Remembering. This is one of the saddest things I have ever seen. Well, I don't know how I thought that was going to end, but there it is. Something guy, I think that was a changeling. The mines will make it past the perimeter. As Florencio moves to his second base. Which has yet to be scouted, by the way. Actually, every single... I don't know how it's done. It's an art. It's truly an art. Some people just know. I'm reminded of Zest, who, just does things that to many people would seem stupid, but just make sense to him. Any excuse. It is the only base on the map that Skull has not scouted. And that is where Florencio has decided his forward operating planetary will be. I don't know what sort of reptilian deity decided to descend upon Florencio's meditation and grace him with this, what some may call knowledge. But they have done no wrong. We're just going to let this play out. Thank you, Jimmy. Thor is here. The final, like, the finishing move from all the way from here to Code S with Cure. Cyril still not sleeping after that Cure match. One of my favorite things of all time. And no upgrades, because Thors require no upgrades. They hit so hard, many people will... Nope. A planetary obliterates a ling. Welcome to Mad Libs Casting, where you fill in a joke that will probably trigger people and not in a good way. 4 Ghost Academies. 1 SCV overseeing their construction and will be exterminated afterwards. And I'm not entirely sure how he builds ghosts. Well, I know how he built... The Thors escape after the bunker is salvaged. Oh. So we're gonna have 4 Ghost Academies, but... Oh yeah, getting Cloak, enhanced shockwaves. But we're only gonna be able to launch 1 nuke at a time. 2 nuclear missiles, by the way, also 7 Ultralists. And as a great man once said, when I'm really... Oh my god. When I'm far ahead and I want to lose, I make Ultras. Now, oh my god. What even skin is that? That's like the... it's a different one than the Leviathan one. Oh my. I might have to use that one. I assume I have it. That is a crazy skin. What is he? Oh, where are these mines? He finds the base, by the way. I just can't get over these Ultras. Now, since the days of the one, the only, the Hydra, Ultralists have received several buffs, and then so many buffs that they were nerfed slightly, and then they were buffed again, because now they have both a armor and a speed upgrade. The Usain Ultralist, but the speed upgrade Skull, slow and steady. Meanwhile, this is like... There's a point where, especially against unupgraded Thors, the armor upgrades for Thors are important. I can't believe we're talking about real StarCraft math here, but here we are. The armor upgrades are not so important for the main attack, but the splash damage is significantly reduced by armor. And that's why the Ultras are so good against Marines and Marauders, but not usually as good against Mech. Also because Thors are almost as wide as your mother, so the splash damage doesn't hit as many of them. With no armor upgrades, though, the Ultras with +2 attack and getting their speed and carapace upgrades are becoming a real threat. Oh, it's Collector's Edition of Heart of the Swarm. I think I was still a poor at that point. I don't think... Well, eventually I bought Collector's Edition of Heart of the Swarm with the dirty esports money you guys gave me by liking and subscribing. But I don't recognize it because I didn't have it at the time. It looks amazing. Does it? Unfortunately, it encourages you to build Ultras, and oh my god! That is 20 Ultras! That is nearly a maximum supply. Nuclear launch detected, though. The Ultras just decide, you know what? More supply for Ultras. Or he didn't notice. Either way, the drones are gone. That is a lot of Thors. He decides we're going. It's happening. An Ultra, possibly the most anti-Ultra you're ever going to get. As the Thors pound through the armor. The Ghost loves the smell of nuclear radiation in the morning. Moved a little closer and launched another one. It's being close to death that makes me feel most alive. It's like, oh my god, would you calm down? We don't have many of you. Corruptors on the way, liberators. How many? There are only 3 ghosts. There are more. There's as many nukes as there are ghosts. Another nuke. Another nuke. One. 2. This one not as much of an impact. That ghost incredibly dead. The nuke flies off into the sunset to hit somebody's cruiser in Stellaris several thousand years from now. Yeah, I've been playing too much. Thors. Somehow this army passes unnoticed. Florencio is aware, potentially. The Thors. Liberation, the Venn diagram of freedom. One ghost, though, a bigger threat. Another one. The drone's having a rough day. The Ultra Corruptor Army. This army is strong enough, even some Broodlords, a great counter to Widow Mines, but the nuclear barrage continues. The Ultra's struggling to find any space. They're not big on social distancing here. The turret's enforcing, but chops through the planetary. The nuke opens things up, but actually slows down the Thors from moving forward. The Ultras decide that's enough for us today, and we'll move back to engage the army. I don't know if there are enough Corruptors. The Thor should be able to smash through them easily. A nuke in the main. Skull is running out of drones, but Florencio never had that many SCVs. It will land. Another one. Down to 18. That was the vast majority of the drones left. Oh my god, it doesn't get much more Terran than this. About a dozen Thors and half a dozen Liberators. But wait, Broodlord showing up, the Ultras moving in, everything together. About the best it's gonna get, but the Liberators, the Concord Cannons, the Fuselage, and Florencio. Fusillade? I never know how to say that word. A barrage of high armor-piercing Terran. Easily able to rip apart the fleshy bits of the Zerg. Tactical superiority. And a slow start, but a dramatic end. But that is not the end. As we have more. Next is, quote, teaser. No, don't stop, can't stop. Actually, Jimmy says, what? Why? We already begged for likes. What do you mean YouTube has oh my god. No, I don't. Anyways, a quick advertisement and we will be right back. Shout out to our sponsors. Thank you for watching. Pause, ad block, all that. Thanks for watching. Welcome back. Oh my, welcome back, everyone. I'm Winter, and I'm here to talk to you about all the exciting ways you can support the content that makes you somewhat uncomfortable, but you can't stop watching. First, of course, you gotta like, and you gotta subscribe. Why? Because then the robot overlords that control most of our lives will know what you are more likely to watch in the long term. So if you like and subscribe and you leave a comment that says, when I was a child, I might not have put dry ice in my oven, but I can still enjoy the taste of Florencio's sewer juice. Well, smash that like button and make sure to leave that comment. Not leave. Don't leave. Stay here. So that way you also know about Prime Gaming. And on Twitch, our Amazon overlords. For free every single month. You can subscribe to a stream of your choice. And it should be Florencio, but think about it. Every moment you wait. Don't think too hard. You'll have to go to the description and find Florencio's stream, where he's streaming probably right now. But instead, you can subscribe to me. And every moment you don't, you're losing money for me. So subscribe with Prime Gaming. Or else. Thank you for watching. Good luck. And good night. Thank you guys for sticking around. No ads are annoying, but you know how it is. Like, Winter, I have YouTube Premium. Or is it, wait, do we stop calling it YouTube Red? Is it just straight up YouTube Premium now? I'm pretty sure it's because YouTube Red just sounds like a porn site, whereas YouTube Premium definitely is. Either way, speaking of, in the top left, spawning a Zerg. It is Ixis Risco. And the bottom right, the man, the myth, the mermaid, Florencio. All shall perish. Enjoy. Florencio with another forward potential hatchery. The bait and switch. A classic tactic. He shows the threat of a proxy hedge with the drone. He goes up, a little scout. He doesn't take a hatch at home. His opponent proxy hatches. Florencio has a hatch at 3 o'clock. On the right side of the map, Ixis Risco seems to have been inspired. Both players seeming not to respect the fact that the other player has hatcheries, and therefore proxying a hatchery probably favors your opponent more than yourselves, because you can just build spine crawlers on their creep. So, Florencio counters with his own hatch, but on the high ground. So the hatch count is 3-2. Both players getting their spawning pools. We're just gonna see where we go from here. Oh my god! Oh jeez! Time warp. Oh, reverse time warp. We just passed through a speedula. You couldn't see it because it was cloaked and nobody brought detection. But make sure to smash that like button to get detection. So this is happening. That's all I have to say. This is my testimony. Florencio demonstrating. Now, Florencio could just put the spine crawlers right up next to the hatch, but that would be far too easy. As he likes to work his way into impaling the hatch with his tentacles. Yes, the creeps touch, and when they touch enough, you can't tell whose creep is whose. Another reason why a lot of Zergs are uncomfortable with proxy hatching. Oh. Unfortunately, Florencio does flinch. Though the Ravagers may have killed the spine crawler if they actually shot it, they didn't. Run! The Zerglings. It's like corrosive bile against Zerglings is a difficult proposal. They surround and just uncomfortably claw the massive surface area that is the Ravagers. I'm losing it. Okay. We may have gone too far off the deep end and then just swam our way through the submarine with the submarine. Submarines don't really swim. I guess you could call it swimming, but that just sounds like a bad translation. Anyways, with a submarine into the sewers, and then you pop out and have no idea what world you just woke up in and where a stove with dry ice is. This has just gotten worse with every game. My casting, that is. Also, the gameplay. Like, I do have to say, like, overall, I'm a big fan of Brood War in the sounds. Much of Brood War is like this confluence of great design, limited by technology, right? Like you got a certain amount of units. The AI is not intelligent. But it just is this beautiful, and another thing is like the sound. Because they had to fit it all on something called a CD-ROM. Google it, kids. They couldn't have like the 420 hertz sounds that we love today. No. So a lot of the sounds of Brood War I really enjoy. Like yeah, the iconic siege tank, just Zerglings in general, lurkers, medics, every part of medics, alive or dead or dying. In StarCraft 2, I am of the opinion that they went a little too much into the, like, we can do this, so we should. Like, in both terms of controlling your units, and the sound design. It sounds realistic, which usually means it's hard to tell one thing apart from another. But the spine crawler, though, you really get the feeling that an impaler tentacle is kind of just penetrating its target as far as it can. It doesn't really have that much on the cusp of its tentacle, but it really does sound like it's getting the job done, and that's important for me, for many reasons. Some great sieging going on by Ixis here. As Florencio, by the way, there's a game. The barrage of biles continues as Florencio is backed into his main, but the roaches have popped out. They're like, we'll never be Ravagers. Not today. Not ever. Unless Sir Mermaid orders us to be. There's been a lot of tentacles today. Oh well. That's just how Florencio likes his Zerg. A lair is done. It appears Ixis has been inspired. Also, Ixis, while Florencio has more workers, he's building a lair, but not where you'd expect. 10 places you wouldn't expect a hatchery. Number 3 will surprise you. Wait, I'm sorry. We'll find some in there. Ah! Oh no. Florencio has taken the Ravager Creed and used it against Ixis. Most of his roaches have become what they feared and hated most, because there's no better way to beat them than to join them. The ravaging has begun, but the drones and roaches getting... Oh my god, that corrosive bile landed. All it takes is one or two to make it feel like you're actually hitting something. And it's a little easier against static targets that can't move very fast, like hatcheries or queens. How dare you! The shotgun blast of biles continues. Oh, the queen falls, like I said. It looks like if Cyril and Raynor took a whole lot of LSD and were playing with their feet, this is what it would look like. Like, we got the Roach Ravager against the Roach Ravager, the defense, the counterattack. Maybe it would help to play with their feet in that state. I don't know. Somehow the game is not over and isn't super decisive in either direction, despite the fact Ixis is down in workers. Florencio is in kind of a weird spot, building his second Roach Warren as he upgrades Roach Speed. The Roach Warren should be done just in time. That is a decoy Roach Warren. He's adding on more hatcheries because apparently we're taking most of those Zerg strategies from Brood War. Speaking of. Ixis is going to have upgrades and Roach Speed like a normie. So that, I don't know if that's going to end up working in his favor. Throws him up and knocks it down. Some corrosive biles out of Florencio. Though that was a little... He sees the slime. He knows. The Overlord saw enough, I think. Unfortunately, that did supply block Ixis. Florencio should have enough army supply. Oh, wow. But it is scattered, much like Brood War, all over the place. God, that game is so hard. Tunneling clause for both players. Are we really gonna have a underground war? Well, are we all taking to the underworld? Why am I saying it? Like, I'm trying to think of a more cleverer way to say it, but I just haven't come up with anything. So we'll get there. We'll get there. Nope. Nope, still nothing. The fact... Wait, did Tunneling Clause just finish? Yes. Oh my god, what is happening in my life? The Changeling. Unfortunately, the Ravagers... Another reason not to get Ravagers. The Queen, the Changeling spots the lair, does not spot the Ravagers. Waiting for their moment. Like, the game has slowed down to such a speed, and that like, Florencio has way more roaches. They're like icebergs. Like, you can only see 10% of the roaches above ground. Like, what is happening? What is this? The fact that oh my god, they're hitting each other! There's a traffic jam! Did anyone notice? Ah! They're getting in each other's way, though they can't see. The corrosive vials, though, are landing on Florencio's army. And Ixis has better... He has +1, which is a significant advantage. Unfortunately, he just has less roaches. Oh, no. Wait. Oh yeah. I'm not... A multi-pronged attack. The Spine Crawler survives with 1 HP and 0 fucks, but the roaches are in the mineral line. The +1 coming through for Ixis, and Florencio is getting dismantled. The strategy he used is what is providing success. I don't know. Like, this game has... We've gone so far off the deep end, I feel like I'm drowning trying to bring myself back up to remember how to cast StarCraft. Because, like, the roach is hitting the spawning pool, the queen is hitting the roach hits the queen kills the roach, but the drone count is confusing, the ravagers are burrowed, there's, like, Ixis, the supplies are dead even. The drone count is confusing. They're technically Florencio has more bases, but practically, what am I watching? Meanwhile, the flank. Corrosive Bile unfortunately clips a Ravager. Some target fire coming out from Ixis. I'm not, like, it feels like... Oh, that Ravager is really hating everything right now. Ixis kind of out-microing himself, but the +1 is really coming through for him. It is a significant advantage. More than most other upgrades. +1 is... I think it takes the amount of hits for a roach to kill a roach from 11 to 9. Don't quote me on that, but it is more significant than most other upgrade interactions. It's up there with, like, Zealots with +1 taking 2 hits to kill a Zergling instead of 3. Actually, it takes Roaches 2 hits to kill a Zerglings instead of 3. That's another big one. Because Roaches, it takes them a while to spew out their Roach juice, but once they get worked up to it, it might as well do as much damage as possible. Unless they're within melee range, in which case they still take range damage upgrades, but they have a melee attack animation, which does not get reduced by Guardian Shield for Protoss. Now, that is not relevant here, but that's a fun fact, isn't it? So what I'm trying to say is whenever you're fighting a Protoss, try to get all of your units, including Hydras, in melee range. Because that'll probably go well for you. I don't know. I need to reset somehow. I'm losing it. Yeah, just... This is like a second-hand sort of dementia. It's like, I feel like I've just forgotten what's happening and why I'm here and what I'm supposed to be watching. I think part of it is because this almost looks like a real ZVZ. Like, besides the underground traffic jam, this looks like a pretty close interpretation, and also where all the bases are. This looks like it could be Raynor versus Cyril on an incredibly bad day. I gotta... like the worst day of their lives. Worse than that. But the Mutas, the Corrosive Biles hit everything, including the Ravagers, but the Mutas are... The Tech Trit... Oh... How many Ravagers are currently burrowed? Oh wait, he unburrows. Which now gets the... Okay. Well, Ixis was doing... He did a pretty good job clawing his way back. But now... The Muta switch causes 2 Gs and Florencio. We'll take it home. I can't end on that. So, I bring you, hopefully not a ZVZ, but this is titled From Florencio, Mother May I, which is significantly different than, and it doesn't have a, like, I don't, you know what, I'm not going to think too hard about it. As hopefully you've enjoyed this, will be, because of course we've got to maximize that content, like and subscribe. The last match, the last experience. of this cheese hour. And an hour, much like many things in StarCraft, is open to interpretation, but I can't believe it's not a barcode. Let me first introduce the man, the myth, the portrait of bronze leaguers and pro gamers alike. The commander we've been waiting on. I think that's his only line in the campaign. Is Kaczynski. Oh wait, no. He has the part, Kaczynski, the like SCV dude in the background, who's like, I don't know, it seems like our leader's kind of a fucked up drunk with emotional issues and a weird revenge crisis. I don't know why I'm on this ship. And then he's like, you know what? I'm only gonna drink whiskey off hours. And now that's the commander I've been waiting on. And that was his purpose in the campaign. Let's see if that is his purpose. In this match against, of course, Florencio. Pretty sure that's what the speech is. He's essentially like, I don't know, this Jimmy guy over there, the one passed out on the table. Yeah, he's supposed to be the guy leading this. I'm not entirely confident in the direction this revolution is taking. Which is fair in my opinion. Like, you can't criticize him too. Oh, that's a hatchery. Yeah, I did forget how much of... check out the brutal achievement hunt, but I did forget how much of the Wings of Liberty campaign is like Jimmy having an emotional crisis and crippling alcoholism that doesn't really let up until spoilers later on, like near the very end. So Florencio is going for a burrow rush, but he does not have a row. Even Florencio doesn't skip the roach one. We know how much he loves roach warrens. The bunkers, well, there's a lot of bunkers. Not that many units to put in the bunkers. 2 bunkers. He's going to be ready. Another Rex. Florencio with the hatch finishing. I mean, this is pretty obviously a roach rush. Hold the roaches. No queens even. Honestly, I if there's one thing I have to criticize about Florencio's play, it's not respecting how amazing queens are. I mean, maybe it's like Warpgate, where queens are obviously certain, but it's different. It's different than Warpgate. Warpgate is Protoss. But queens, especially after the Brood War, come on. I want to see more queens. Hashtag Yas Queens. They don't have to be on creep. Just like maybe, I don't know, give them an ibuprofen. They get a little joint pain. Give them a chauffeur, the German taxi build. Maybe the sewer taxi build. But either way, I want more queens. And that is my statement and testimony. Roaches versus bunkers. Bunkers versus roaches. Roaches. This is my casting now. Banelings. There's 10 Banelings. Oh, inspired by Nest T from that ZVZ match earlier. Obviously. We're just going to make Banelings wherever they grow. Wow, this is really long-term thinking here. Oh my. And then Florencio kills his own hatch. So, assuming there is never a scan... Remember that one time in, like, 2014? 7 years ago when Scarlet used Banelings against Bomber? Well, Florencio never forgets. And he never forgives. Unrelated. So now we're here. The worker counts and the supplies is essentially even. I want to go back to the queens, okay? Like, you know, save the process. You can never be too careful. The sensor tower. Okay. Hey, use all the tools at your disposal. Yeah. I mean, I got this for Christmas. I got a sensor tower for Christmas. We gotta use it. And he will be able to see, indeed, there is a hatchery. 3 Reapers on the way now, an interesting choice. +1 infantry weapons, and since the rocks, watch out! Ah, guys! Oh my god, you didn't think you could do it, but the tank managed to get 3! Ah! The tank racking up half a dozen kills. The Marines and Reapers caught between a rock and a hard place. The weapons test ain't a bit too much of a success. Oh my god, watch out! Oh, we can't. What? Oh, just hold your fire. Oh, it's planetside all over again. Oh my god. So, despite having no enemy fire, 6 units have died for Kaczynski. Oh, an unmitigated disaster. And now the moment. The anticipation. Unfortunately, Kaczynski may not have enough SCVs to make it. We're gonna have to wait a bit. The fully loaded mineral line. Florencio playing the long game. There's also a burrowed roach over here. The tank's moving. There's just not enough units to hit with banelings. This is part of the issue of baneling mines, is like, they really only hit so much. They're no disruptor. Don't speak of Protoss in this house again. Kaczynski's only at 22 SCVs, and right now, a solid 10% of them are building depots. So, meanwhile, Florencio, his ventral sacs coming together. I'm not entirely convinced that command center landed in the right spot, but it's close. So, let's go to the Florencio action cam. The Florencio action cam.
Mineral field depleted. Evolved. Stuff got better.
They wait. Sleeper agents. Half asleep himself. The Reapers into the main. Banelings showing their value on both sides. Oh, he hits. Wait. Kind of like a haphazard, but the banelings are triggered, which does about as much damage as the tank did to its own Wait, what? Oh, they're speaking of. So, a little under, like, there's just not that many SCVs. You'll never expect there to be more banelings. 5 dropper lords on the way. Oh. Okay, the baneling. Well, he's killed 7 workers. with the banelings. So 7 SCVs with 10 banelings. I'm not a mathematician, and I don't want to be. The drops on the way to drop on the tanks. They could have just walked out, but that would be far too easy. So they drop into tank fire. The Cyclone actually killing one of the OVs. But it is enough. Get out, get out, get out. Don't get back in. There's plenty of room. There's plenty of room. Except for Steve. Don't invite Steve. Not again. It's an enclosed space. You know why. Is there a starport? Yes. And that starport bringing us a new challenger. Liberators. Fortunately, the only turret has been built in a key location to potentially annoy these overlords as they drop. It may even kill one if it has a particularly inspired targeting solution. The Liberators will siege the rest of the base. Don't you dare build anything here, drones. Meanwhile, in the main, the Roaches and Hydras taking what relatively little there is of SCVs. Oh, eventually the Liberators figure out how it works. Brenda, get out of the way! Get out of the way! The Hydras should be enough, though it is a bit of a pain. Oh, the bio is coming back there. Get it, get it! Oh, not you, Steve. Not you, Steve! See? Finally. Oh, fortunately, his friends. What? The tank hit it so hard it burned! Is that Swarm Host? I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry. Never apologize. I'm sorry for whoever those Swarm Hosts set their set. Ricky and the boys. This is no accident. Like, 99% of Swarm Hosts in the single digits. No. Ricky and the boys have intent. They're gonna put their caps on slightly sideways. They're gonna wear chains of varying metals, and they're gonna saunter across. So this is happening. What am I watching? Okay, a Liberator, but the surviving Hydras will micro their way in like that cinematic. Except there's no Nova to save them. The Marines will show up. The command center is pre-cancelled upon being scouted by an ambitious overlord. The Hydras, the slow Hydras. They don't even have range or speed, let alone, of course, any disgusting evolution chamber upgrade. Those Hydras are good just the way they were born. It's unnatural to evolve further. It's unneeded. Meanwhile, Kaczynski building extra starports for extra... I mean, whatever else you can build out of starports without tech labs, essentially. We got a Viking, we got a medevac. The Swarm Host Hydra composition of Florencio. They're moving into position, scuttling there, making a big ruckus. But, one Liberator are gonna be... Oh, unfortunately that Overlord popped out its changelings in a panic. We've all done that. We've all been there. It happens to the best of us. The Liberator all queued up. The Swarm Host ready for the... waiting for the order. 6 more dropper lords on the way. Meanwhile, that spore crawler outflanks the liberator. The hydras. No, not you guys. You guys wait outside. Oh, and the ultimate air assault of Zerg! Thumbnail. We got it. The Locust will clear the beachhead, and the Hydras will drop behind. Kaczynski has 38 army supply, and there's about 50 army supply. Well, including this one was like 100. Oh, but all 38 is base. Are we really? We're base trading. Base trade. Locust raining down. The swarm overwhelming, but the Terran army not. Like, there's a non-zero chance that Florencio runs out of buildings. A Nidus network on the way. Obviously the choice. The Marines taking most of the reinforcements, but more swarm hosts. Oh, well, the swarm hosts and the tanks. No, not the tanks again. Stop with the tanks. At least they're not Medanks. Not anymore. Oh, some really heart of the swarm hosts. Oh, and those spores coming together. Ah, yes, the good old days when games took as long as a Lord of the Rings movie and were 3 times as epic. The burrowed swarm hosts. The Hydras chasing down Kaczynski at 14. Thanks for the game. Ha! Kaczynski in good humor and Florencio with murder on the mind. A little bit about as one-sided as a Mobius strip, but at the end of the day, Florencio slithers his way to another so-called victory. We went from micro to macro. Terran, Zerg, and Protoss. The whole spectrum. For now, the charcuterie board. But I hope you weren't bored with that experience. And if so, or if you were and made it this far, check out these videos. No, don't let that loco video autoplay. Don't you dare. Or if you're a cultured individual, the Hearthstone one, but probably not. Or if you're even more cultured, mine. No. One of these. And like and subscribe. And what do you think? What was the finest and sharpest cheese? What was the least inspired? Leave a comment. Thank you for watching. Check out Florencio in a sewer near you. Just go outside, look around. I don't know, put on a Speedo or something. And good luck. Have fun. Thank you for watching.